Hey guys, Aspa here. Today I'm gonna give you a full walkthrough of Mists of Tirna Scithe Mythic Plus dungeon as a Holy Priest. The aim of this video is to help you perform better, to get your Keystone Master achievements and to push yourself to do harder and harder content. Our run is not perfect in any means, and I will actually point out the mistakes that me and my group are doing, so you can anticipate similar things to happen while you're doing your runs, and maybe this will help you react to them better. So for this video we're using my POV from a plus 17 Mists of Tirna Scithe, with affixes being Tyrannical, Inspiring, Necrotic and Prideful. If you're not if you don't remember them, Inspiring means that you cannot CC any mobs that are near a mob that it's inspired. So you need coordination to make sure that things don't get out of hands. And Necrotic is a pain in the ass because with stacks going higher, let's say 20 plus, your tank is taking little to no healing at all. But luckily I'm running with the Demon Hunter here, so that affix doesn't really exist for us. And the last thing to mention is that as you go higher and higher in key levels, the Pridefuls are starting to hurt more and more. So I will actually give you some tips and tricks for that too. So now let's have some nice smooth synthwave on the background and get the footage rolling. So just sit back, watch, listen and enjoy. So first things first, I'm running with an Unholy DK, a Boomkin, Demon Hunter Tank and a Fire Mage. As you can see, I can see all of the cooldowns of all of my groupies, offensive and defensives. The reason being that when the mage combusts, I can PI him, you know, or when the DK is using army, I can PI him. I am going to pause the video every now and then to show you some things, and I'm also going to rewind over some stuff. So we're trying to keep this as short as possible, but obviously, you know, it's going to be 20 minutes at least. So first pull here, this is actually a pretty big one. We have the inspired mob in there too. There's gonna be a lot of incoming damage, and this is where I do my first mistake. I get hit by the beam, I get disoriented, which means that I put my entire group in danger of dying because the healer is disoriented, right? So these are the kind of things that you need to take care of that doesn't happen. Luckily, this is Tyrannical week. On a fortified week, we would have wiped 100%. But thanks to our group doing amazing damage, particularly our mage pulling over 30k here, this entire pack dies really nicely and fast. Our mage also gets hit by the beam and gets disoriented, but still we're alright. You're gonna see a small little trick coming out from me here now. Everybody else is going to start rushing forward after this mob dies, but what you see me doing here is I linger around for a little bit longer, because the area that's here, it doesn't just heal you, but it also gives you mana. And during higher keys, you might be very tight on time towards the end. You know, we're not MDI players here, so you want to save seconds everywhere. And this is where things like that come in. I'm gonna pause this here because you're gonna see something, little niche trick. But yeah, so if there's an opportunity like that to get full mana, take it, because that means that you don't have to stop to drink on another time. So you know, I'm running as a Necrolord, so I have Unholy Nova, and when I use Unholy Nova, I'm gonna give a buff called Lead by Example to anyone that I'm nearby. That's gonna give them more of their main stat. So my mage here is getting more intellect because I use it next to him, which means that he can do a little bit more damage. And you have to remember that when you go into higher and higher keys, you need to push more numbers also. You need to take the extra from anywhere you can. Again, cooldown usage, 30 stacks, which means that the Demon Hunter isn't taking close to no healing at all. I use Guardian Spirit on him to avoid his proc to happen. So what happens here, I'm healing the mage, Guardian Spirit procs, but he stays alive. Now he gets to reset his stacks and everything's alright. Without Guardian Spirit he would have procced and things could have ended worse, right? But the reaction here is important. Now we're gonna skip forward a little bit. These two bastards are pretty bad. On a fortified week, again, we would have wiped here because of my mistake. but thanks to Tyrannical week, we're fine. But you're gonna see it soon. So this is a really simple one. These mobs have two things that they do. Bramble Burst and then the Focus Trashing. So they don't do everything right at the same time. So you see a Bramble Burst, number 1. He starts Focus Trashing. I reacted to this Focus Trashing and I started to Divine him. And then the other one does Bramble Burst. So I miss 4 ticks out of Divine him. No, sorry, 3. Yeah, 4, 6, right. So if this was a fortified week, we would have died because the incoming damage is so high. But because this is Tyrannical, we survive with no issues and it looks like everything's fine. But that was a huge mistake for me. And this would have cost us a wipe if this was fortified. Now, what comes next is the first Prideful. And on a plus 17, you actually need to plan for a Prideful. Again, we're not an MDI group. So, on a Prideful like this, when they get to higher stacks, it's gonna start to really hurt. Usually, I would like to have my Divine Hymn here, but as I wasted it earlier, I don't have it. So what we actually do is, as soon as the mage gets his combust back, he's just gonna combust. And because of that combustion, the pride dies fast enough, so I don't actually even need to use my apotheosis. But if you are having any issues at all, I usually hymn around 10 stacks. So when pride gets to 10 stacks, I start the full divine hymn. It's more than enough healing to cover for anything that time, and then the extra healing will keep your group alive once you finish the pride. This boss, nothing super exciting, right? You kill this guy, then you get to phase 2, you start nuking. On a Tyrannical week, with even like with our players, not going to happen that we're gonna want to face it. Obviously everybody pops their cooldowns. We're pushing a lot of damage. Again, important, healers also pushing damage. So you see I'm doing 3.5k here. That actually matters. We're gonna skip ahead a little bit. Actually, this is a pretty nifty one. So when you get into like later P2, it's also important to know what can kill you and what can't kill you. So we know that there's a fear coming soon. There's a lot of this blue stuff on the ground. It's a Tyrannical, so these things hurt. You're a holy priest, so you're really weak. So I actually know that use Fleshcraft, knowing that there's gonna be the fear soon, right? So this Fleshcraft is gonna make sure that I won't die even if I run over all of this stuff. It's a little thing, but it matters. So make sure that you're using everything in your toolkit to make sure that you survive and everybody in your group survives. Here again you see the same thing. Unholy Nova, I make sure that I give it to the mage, even though he still isn't combusting. I should have waited until he combusts to make sure that we get everything out of it. Yeah, then we can skip ahead, nothing much here. So there's maze is itself is not that interesting, if I'm honest. It doesn't really happen much. One thing that I say is get the weak aura for this, so it goes faster. We can look at this pride. So this is an annoying pack, but nothing really. On a fortified week, this would be super annoying. You would commit a lot of cooldowns here, but on a Tyrannical week, not really. Then again, we get the pride. So here you're gonna see me divine him at around 10 stacks. Because I have a Death Knight in my group, I want to use anti-magic shield, anti-magic zone, sorry, and we usually use it at around 12 stacks at the boss. You see now I'm using a full divine hymn, and after that we're gonna get AMZ. There it is. So we should actually all be in melee under the dome, but obviously it's not necessary at this point when it's getting so low. Here we made a little mistake. We didn't have it planned out. So, and then during the maze we actually had a pretty bad call. We had a maze longer than we've ever seen before. So this is actually where we had our mistake. We were sure it's here. It was the next door basically. Killed that pack. We get to another pride. Kill the pride. Get to the boss. So Mistcaller. Tyrannical Mistcaller. There are a few things there that can kill you, and there's a few mechanics that you need to take care of, and there's the intermission when you take a lot of damage. So first things first, freeze tag, get the nice cute little foxy that's gonna run after you. CC it somewhere where it's far away and then forget about it. But make sure that it's always CC'd. If it catches you, you're fucked. There's no way around it. Now, during P2, the penalizing burst hurts like a motherfucker. So make sure it's actually even more important to kill these illusionary clones really fast than anything else in this fight. Because the penalizing burst really hurts like a motherfucker and it can kill your group quite fast. So if you're having issues during that phase, you just divine him, pop apotheosis, make sure that your DPS players are using their cooldowns, like defensive cooldowns, and burst those clones like there's no tomorrow. That's the thing that can kill you here. If you don't CC the fox correctly, or you fuck up the intermission, you don't kill the clone fast enough. Those are the two things that kill you here, nothing else. Dodging the balls should be quite self-explanatory. We don't use any cooldowns here, but again, oh yeah, we made a mistake. So this is what happens when you get hit by a ball. Luckily he's Night Fae, so Pod saved him for a while, then he died again. We have battle rests, so we were able to get him up and finish the boss. But as you can see, we're starting to take a lot of damage just because one DPS player was down. So those are things that can kill you during this encounter. Now, let's jump forward a little bit. So soon we're actually gonna get into trouble because the maze was really long for us. So we have more percentage than we normally should have. Again, a nice bug here. Our Death Knight passed away, so to speak. The pull that's coming after this one. Usually you would get a pride here, but obviously we don't get it because we had it earlier, because the long maze happened. So here you see we have the larva. The larva needs to die instantly because it's inspired. If that larva stays alive, this entire pull can become a complete nightmare. But if you kill that larva really quickly, you're gonna have no trouble. Same goes with the flies. See Demon Hunter going high on stacks, but he's Kyrian, so he can reset them with the file. The pull that's gonna come after this is actually gonna be really trivial, and that's where we kind of have to pay for what happened with the long maze. So we actually get pride in the middle of a pretty hard pull, which is gonna happen here. And I'm actually really surprised that we were able to deal with that way. Luckily, the group that I'm running with, we're all guildies. They're my raiders. And we've been doing quite a lot of Mythic Plus together, so we don't panic. It's important that in a situation like this, you have clear communication, you don't panic, you're just okay. We're gonna deal with this, who's gonna do what? Do we need to pop a cooldown? So you see our Boomkin pops his Convoke, Celestine alignment. Our mage is getting his combust soon. You know, I haven't even committed my apotheosis nor divine hymn at this time, even though it spawned like in the middle of the pull, you know. Full divine hymn again, actually even in later stacks. But this means that, you know, you need to also trust the players around you. You know, I can tell my guys that, you know, this is gonna happen now and this is gonna happen then. But you can see that we're going really low. But you just need to be able to trust the guys that you're playing with. Then, another big pull. This isn't among the easiest ones. See, again, Unholy Nova. Make sure that someone gets the lead by example. Everything's grouped up. Combust. Really unlucky, he has to move. Now, our Demon Hunter is unhealable at this point. He has to go. And he actually dies. No, yeah, we were able to reset. Yeah, everything went well, better than expected. But these kind of spulls are the ones that are really scary. And as you can see, we're kind of starting to run low on time. So you have to be able to just forget that it's gonna be hard and just go for it. What's important is to make sure that you're interrupting what needs to be interrupted, and you should be okay. Everybody just needs to kind of... The most important thing that you can tell your group as a healer is to dodge every single thing. Like, do as much damage as you can and move out of the fire. Because if they don't, there's nothing you can do as a healer. You can heal the things that hurt, can't heal the things that kill. And especially in higher Mythic Plus keys, one misstep means death. Everything hurts so much that there's no way around it. You can cheese things with immunities and such, but you can't avoid the one-hit wonders. So if you get hit by the mechanics on the ground, you're gone. Simple as that. So it's very important to emphasize these things. And now we get to the last Pride, just before the final boss. Again, this is a point where I don't have my Divine Hymn. We don't actually even want to use any cooldowns because we're on a Tyrannical week. The last boss is a tough one. So we're actually going dry. But it again, it's about coordination, and we can... Oh yeah, I pop Apotheosis here, sorry, that's my bad. I pop Apotheosis, and you can actually start seeing I'm gonna climb somewhere up to 10k HPS almost. And this is without PI, so just Apotheosis alone. And of course Flash Concentration Legendary to utilize heal to the best way possible. Something that I actually haven't talked about during this video almost at all is the usage of Flash Concentration and how much it actually does. And few things about Tred'ova before we actually go further into it. During this boss, it's crucial that you dodge the shit on the ground, especially during Tyrannical. It's actually a very long encounter for a dungeon boss. It takes over 3 minutes for us, even with Pride and Bloodlust. You need to interrupt the casts. You should be able to handle all casts, basically. Just make sure that you're rotating them correctly. This is something that you should also like be on voice with your group that you're playing with. Important things, use Unholy, like use your abilities, use your toolkit. So you see me always using Unholy Nova on cooldown, which means that it's a little bit of extra damage, a little bit of extra healing. All of these little things, you know, C is drops of millions of drops, right? So you do little things here and there, and they all pile up and sum up to this full performance thing. So again, you see I'm pulling almost 3k DPS while still healing, trying to handle everything else. Dodge, walk around, stay in range of everybody. They will be spread out, especially when you have different range players. They are going to go to places where you're going to, you know, try to find them, basically. Just need to run through the boss, find them, try to make sure that they stay on one place, even close to one place, so you're able to heal them. But this is starting to get towards the end. Again, like here on Tred'ova, it's just dodging shit. There's a lot of it, but that's the only thing you need to do. You can use Fade, remember, you have the Conduit, so you can get the most out of that. And a lot of it just comes down to survivability. I hope this helped you. Please drop me any questions, anything you would like to know more, any recommendations, things that I could improve on. Are there some other things that I should involve in these videos? All of that kind of feedback is very much welcomed. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. See you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.